Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm going to show you how to build this easy day one starter base consisting out of these storage containers using the Wasteland skins, the last part of the Bob Talltales DLC that launched with Extinction. I think this is a really unique way to change your day one box into something a little bit more special, and it is a really good way to keep expanding whenever you need more space. You can of course use this box as a little bit of a dino pen for your early game tames that fit through these new added doors, because if you didn't know, the cellar doors now have extra variations. They have a hangar door and a barn door, which allows you to have different shapes of gates, which is really helpful as shown in these builds. In this tutorial, I show you 3 different sizes of these storage containers, shaped in such a way that they make for quite an interesting look and a little bit of a gateway. But you could, of course, keep adding more to your base if you want to create like a little wall out of storage containers, a little, wasteland, post-apocalyptic survivor base. As always, if you enjoyed these build tutorials and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like the video, and of course, if you want to show even more support, you can always consider becoming a YouTube member. With that being said, let's jump into the build. Okay, of course, we're starting out with the foundations. It's quite easy. We want to have a 3 wide one, and then for the length, I guess you could technically make it as long or as short as you want. I would go for at least 8, so that's what we're going to do for this example, 8 in total. And then of course we can just start filling it in, because this is the start of the first container. And as I said in the intro, you can decide if you want to just build one container or you want to turn this slowly into some kind of bigger base and maybe even a compound. So yeah, for the foundations, it's quite easy. Then we want to take out the cellar doors and change to the barn door style, and we can place them at the end. Personally, I would also make sure that you always open out so that it actually goes like you would expect it to go, because opening inside I don't think is very convenient if you want to build your base in here. So yeah, always open out, I think, is the most convenient way to go. And then what you could probably do, especially on the sides that you expect to enter from a lot, I would add in some ramps or stairs to make it a little bit more easy for yourself. And then we can take out our pillars, and we can start one from the corner, add one in, make sure to connect it down to the ground, and then go 3 high in total. We'll do the same thing here on the other side as well, just like that. And then one right in the middle here, just like this. And on the other side of the container, we want to be doing the exact same thing. So 3 pillars of 3 high, just like this. Then we can take out our wooden beam and actually make sure that we connect these ones to kind of create the nice shape. And then, well, this is up to you, but I would personally also like to make a beam go around the bottom here. Just the bottom though, just to add a little bit more detail. But this is definitely some structures that you could save if you don't like the look of that, or you don't think you'll need them necessarily. Okay, now there's 2 ways to make the walls. Either you can just fill in the walls completely normal, but what I like to do is bring in a little bit of variation. So we're going to make some shapes. So for example, we'll start just like this. We'll add a wall in here as well, and we'll do one over here. Then over this side, we will start like this. The one in the middle, we can actually make into the windows on both sides. Then we can continue this shape, and we'll have it like so. So we just basically make a little bit of a random pattern. That's what you want. And then the other ones, you want to flip around the walls. This is because when we start adding in the skins, they will look slightly different, and I just think that's a nice way to bring in some extra details without having to go crazy by building like crazy things. All you need to do is flip around the structures a little bit, and then of course we make sure to add in the windows to those as well. And then on the other side, we kind of want to do a similar thing, but again, we want this randomization. So we want to make sure that whatever kind of pattern that we use on the other side, we don't necessarily also use on this side, because, well, that's not really gonna be random then anymore, yeah? So yeah, you kind of just want to fill in these walls, but you can do it in whatever way you think works best. It doesn't have to be in a specific pattern. And then once you're happy, you place them the other way around, so that once we start skinning, it will look really, really nice. There we go. So just like that, we got the whole wall filled in. Make sure to add the windows again. There we go. And that already looks quite nice indeed. Then for the top, it's actually quite easy. We just want to make sure that we start filling in our ceiling all the way through, so that we, of course, actually create a full container look. So this does have the advantage that you could actually also build on top of your container, which of course gives you even more room. Then for the edges of this, you want to basically just go around and adding some railings, especially if you do plan on using the tops of your container as part of your base. So yeah, we're just gonna make it a little bit safer, but we're gonna for now leave one side open, because in this tutorial we're gonna of course be building more boxes. But if you just want a standalone container, you can of course just close it off, or maybe just add a ladder somewhere or a staircase somewhere so you can actually reach it as well. It's time to start skinning, and pretty much all we need to do is just go around and skin the entire build. So let's go around and do that, and pause the video, and then I'll see you in just a second with the whole skinned build. Okay, so then we have one storage container, as you can see. And of course, the advantage is that you can quite easily build this day one and house some of your day one dinos inside as well. And we can expand it, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make one that is going to be overhanging on top of this container. We'll need a second container to do that, but before we can get there, we need to make sure that they are snapping together on the same grid. So we'll take out our triangles. We're going to count these ones on the outside. So this is 1, 2, 3, and we want to have 6 in total. So this should be 6 of these sides right here, and that's where we're gonna start making the next container. Okay, and then where we end up is where we can start the foundation for the second container on the ground. We want to go out by 2 more from where this attaches. Then of course we're going to make it 3 wide, and then this box we're gonna actually make 6, so it's slightly smaller than the first one, just to give you some options for different sizes and different variations. And now we can actually take away these foundations as well, because now they should be linked up in the right snap points. So we can start once again. We'll add the barn doors at the end of our containers, and okay, again, we'll want to make sure they always open outward, because that just makes a little bit more sense in my opinion. And there we go. Then of course we can take out our pillars. We'll start here in the middle, take it up by 3, do the same thing here on the other side, take it up by 3 as well. And then to add some more interest and details, we can do it right over here. So 1 from the side. So very similar to the other design, but of course on a smaller scale, but still should look quite nice in my opinion. So there we go. We have the pillars in place. We want to take out our beams again, make sure that they connect all the way to the other side. There we go. And then of course we need to start filling in our sides of the walls. Once again, we want to make sure that we do a little bit of randomization here. So some of those we'll place the normal ones, and for others we're going to be using of course the other variants that are available. There we go, something like this. And well, you can choose if you want windows, but you can also of course just build it without windows. That's kind of your own choice. Of course, it's quite easy to replace one of these by a window. Probably what I would do if you want some windows, you would probably have one over here and then maybe have one over there, so that it, you know, there's still some windows in there. But if you don't want windows, you can totally do that as well. But of course, to let a little bit of light in, might be quite nice. The other side, of course, we also want to make sure that we do a little bit of some random patterns, just going around and seeing what you like. And then, of course, we can flip it around and fill in the other wall pieces. And once again, if you want some windows, you can quite easily add them in. I would probably suggest doing them in these positions, but yeah, you can play around with that, of course, depending on how many of these containers you're gonna use. Also, let's make sure to add some ramps here in the front once again to make sure that we can easily get inside. And then, of course, we can take out the ceilings again and we can start filling in the roof of the container all the way through to the other side, just like this. And yeah, then you can take out the railings. Here we want to go around like so. Of course, we're going to still add the container that is overlapping from one side to the other side, but at least these sides we can start adding in the railings to make this building come alive. And we can go all the way. What we will leave is a gap of 3 right here, which is where these two containers will start to overlap. Okay, so now what we can do is we can take out our triangle ceilings and we should be able to line these up so you can go as far as you want. And then on the other side, you should also be able to go out as far as connecting right in the middle. You can't go all the way for some reason, but yeah, you should be able to have full foundation support. And once you've started, you can of course build, because then the grid is once again aligned with each other and they give each other full support. So there we go. So this will be a little entrance or a gateway, whatever you want to use it for. Of course, you could build more containers to kind of circle around your build, or build walls of other designs and then have this as your gateway to a little town or your base. All right, so now we want to start with the design again, and it is also of course one where you want to have some of these random wall designs, I would say. We're going to also overlap by 1 to this side and by 1 to the other side. So whatever we do, we want to make sure that we leave room for those in the design. So we just play around with these walls again, just to make these structures a little bit more randomized. Because as you can see on this one, you see the 2 different textures. I think that looks a little bit nicer than just having the same one repeating over and over and over again. So that's why we do it like this. So this could be one of the walls. And then of course in the middle, we want to make sure that we have some pillars going all the way through. Then we also want to make sure that we add the pillars here at the end of the building. And then also one from the end to kind of break up that line. And then you can decide where you want your windows. You can of course do them here in this middle part if you want, or you can maybe add them over here. It is really up to you where you want to add some windows and how many windows you want, because you could also just do both of these of course, and yeah, just create a little bit of extra light coming in to your storage container. And then of course we want to make sure to add in these windows as well. Now for this one, of course, we also want to make sure that we add in these beams going along the bottom of the container. We actually forgot those here. We can still do that, of course, if you want, just like we did on the other side. It is very optional, of course, whether you do want those or not. But yeah, they do add a little bit of extra details. We can, of course, also add in the ramps on all of the sides. I don't know if I actually did that because I only opened one side of the box, but yeah, you probably want to have those. So also for the beams, we want to make sure that we have them here on this side, of course, and then you won't be able to add them until you add in the walls. So if we do, for example, a wall here and a wall over there, we're able to add in the last little piece before we build the entire walls. So now that we have the one side, let's focus on the other side as well. So yeah, we want to make sure that we create another random pattern here with some nice walls for us to use, so that we can kind of just fill it all in like so. Again, just to create those random textures and make it look a little bit nicer than it would otherwise. Then of course we can add in the pillar in the middle and the pillar at the end, one from the end as well. Same thing here on the other side. just like this. And then of course, if we want, we can also add in some windows just to let in some light on the inside as well. There we go. And of course, add in the doors there too. So there we go. We have 2 big walls, but of course we need to be able to place the gate. We can't right now. What you want to do is you want to, at the end of the build for now, do the triangle ceilings for the top layer. That's the ones we'll need for the next step. Then we can take out the wooden beams, bring them across the top on both ends. And this will create some new snap points for us. And now, when we take out the barn doors, we should be able to snap them in to both of these endings. And then, of course, always open out. We can open the doors just like this. And that they work. Because otherwise, I mean, the snap point won't really want to work with you that well. We can, of course, continue the ceilings now that we've done that. And making sure that we fill in the top of this storage container. So yeah, this is basically how we can still build the similar container shape on an angle, and especially by overlapping like this, we of course create a quite interesting looking base design. So there we go, we got this whole design going. Of course, we still need to skin both of these, but what I would personally do to kind of finish this base is over here I would add in a ladder so that we can reach the top of the big container in the middle as well. And then we can already see that we fenced off this area quite nicely. Here on the other side, we also want to make sure that we add in the last remaining fence right over there. Here we want to make sure that we have a way to actually access this. So what we want to do is we start with a nice stairs right here, and then we can lead the staircase all the way down into the ground. And then of course we can have some nice railings, a pillar going down as well for some extra support and making it look a little bit nicer. And of course we can also add in the last railing over there just to make sure that everything fits in quite nicely. And then the last thing that we need to do, of course, if you're going to use this roof, yeah, we definitely also want to make sure that we've got some railings along the top of this build. And yeah, that will just ensure us that it's safe. Of course, if you have the rail of the ladder there, we don't want to be adding the railing, because otherwise, well, can't really access it. So yeah, we just want to go along the entire top like that. And after we've done this, that should be pretty much it for the build. So then we can start skinning it. And there we go. That is what it looks like once you've skinned all the boxes. As you can see, we got a nice little storage container base, and you can really get some really cool and unique shapes. And of course, it's quite easy to build this day one. You can start with one box and slowly expand. So whenever you need more space, you can just keep adding some extra containers, or your extra tribe mates arrive. Yeah, you can just keep expanding. But one thing I will say, if you have a lot of these structures, they do look a little bit boring, and storage containers usually have quite bright and different colors. So what I would do is paint the walls of the containers and the doors. For the walls, you want to use the 3rd and 4th region, just painting basically the metal parts, and that looks quite cool. To give you a little bit of an idea of what that looks like, this is the starter base that I built, and you can see I've used yellow, red and cyan here to really make these storage containers pop. I think that makes for a really nice and unique starter base that is quite easy to get going. You can use one for your dino pen with a little feeding trough inside, of course, decorated using all the other frontier things to really bring it to life. And of course, then we have the stairs to go up. We have the bonfire structures, a smithy. We've got a little bit of a little tribe room here, mortar pestle. We got some storage, etc. over here as well. And then on his side, we have a little bedroom. We have some more storage out here. We have some more forges out here to smelt the things, utilizing all the spaces on the containers. And then here we have the lookout post with some water drums, just as a little bit of detail. And then in here we have a little storage room, so some forges, your Anki and stuff would still be able to fit inside. More storage. Well, this one is a little bit taken over as well by the landscape, but yeah, just to kind of give you a suggestion of what the storage box space could look like. And of course, kind of functions as a little bit of a gate as well, and it is easy to keep expanding this into a bigger compound and bigger base if you should need it. Anyway, that's going to be it for this build tutorial. Hopefully you enjoy. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you around in the next video. Goodbye.